morning, everybody. Welcome from a very chilled Mount Macedon. So a few weeks back I visited a church in another country. It was great to see how the good news of Jesus Christ is spread around the world. Now, during that visit to the church, I went to a service, and the message was so powerful, the message that the pastor gave, that I decided to stay for a second round, and I listened to the same message for the second time on the second service. Later that week, on the Wednesday, I spoke to my daughter, and I told her about the amazing experience I had with that church and the message that I received. And then she asked me, what was the message about? Now, in that very moment, I was on my way to work, and I just, for a moment, could not remember what the message was all about. Later that day, in the afternoon after I came back from work, I sat down and I thought about the message that I listened to on the Sunday. And I actually felt a little bit convicted after I realized what the message was all about. So I'll read you just a few passages from the book of Mark. Mark 4 in the New Testament, the parable of the sower. It says here from verse 3 in Mark 4 verse 3. Listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell amongst thorns, which grew up and choked the plants so that they did not bear grain. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew and produced a crop, some multiplying 30, some 60, some 100 times. And then Jesus went on and he explained the parable from here in Mark 4, from verse 14. He says, the farmer sows the word. Some people are like seed along the path where the word is sown. As soon as they hear it, Satan comes and takes away the word that was sown in them. Others, like seed sown on rocky places, hear the word and at once received it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. Still others, like seed among thorns, hear the word, but the worries of this life, the deceitfulness of wealth, and the desires for other things come in and choke the word, making it unfruitful. Others, like seed sown on good soil, hear the word, accept it, and produce a crop, some 30, some 60, some 100 times what was sown. After I read that piece, I remember that was actually the word that the pastor read from on that Sunday. I realized that I was so busy on the Monday and the Tuesday and even the Wednesday that my week was way too busy, and that church and my relationship with God is not only meant to be words on a Sunday or a message on a Sunday. Then I went to the book of Psalms, and I read there just on what the Word of God says when it comes to us being too busy. We need to step back, and we need to take time to meditate on His Word. I want to encourage you as well. Don't just go to church on a Sunday and get your message there. We need to prioritize to spend time in the Word on a daily basis so that we can grow our relationship with God. If we are too busy, we can sometimes miss that moment that God intended for us to see. If we look at Peter in the book of Matthew 17 verse 2 to 5, it reads the following. In Matthew 17, where we read from verse 1, where it talks about the transfiguration. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. For Peter, he had the wrong idea there. He was there. Can you imagine yourself, if you were in the presence of Jesus, Elijah, and Moses, and instead of seeking that time and just listen to what they are talking about, you offer to build them huts. Too busy. Let's just not forget, we should never be too busy to invest in our relationship with God through the Word. Thank you.